Hi there, Alex here, S4's Ecologist, and today I'm at the absolutely beautiful Caswell Bay, which some of you might recognise. We're going to be going on a wonderful walk around the coast. Wales is one of the only places in the world where you have a coastal path all the way around the whole coast. It's a really diverse area. There's just loads of cool stuff, seabirds, sea creatures, land creatures, cool plants, things that only grow here. There's all kinds, and hopefully we'll see some of that today.
Coasts are an incredible, vibrant part of our natural world. There's nearly 20,000 miles of it surrounding the UK, so it's hard to ignore, especially in South Wales. Lots of us, especially scientists, like to group our animals and plants as land dwellers or water dwellers, but coastal regions fly in the face of that. The aquatic literally crashes into the terrestrial head on. These two groups interact in amazing ways, and there are some creatures that happily straddle the line between the two. That's why there's always so much to find.
Hi, so pretty much right out of the gate here, we've found something really cool, and that's these brambles. Now, they're fairly common around the British countryside, but they are actually very common along the coastline. So you're very likely to see them, and they do give fruit, and they're probably a fruit that you'd recognize, is that they're blackberries. And even though it's October right now, you can still see them. Wouldn't suggest eating them right off, but if you take them home and give them a wash and put them into a pie, they're absolutely beautiful. So we found another really cool plant here. So this is a gorse bush. Gorse is a really hardy plant, which means it can grow in sort of really bad conditions. It grows in very acidic soils, it grows very high up, and it can grow on the coast where the soil tends to not be a very good quality because it's all mixed in with sand. And you can tell it because it's very spiky, so you've got to be very careful around it because it will hurt. And it's got these lovely bright yellow flowers, and if I give them a smell, they've got a lovely coconutty smell, so you know it's them. So this is a really fun one. Right here, we found a Dune wax cap, which is a fungus. As you can see, it sort of looks like a mushroom. That's because it is a mushroom, but it's very sort of orange yellow with a sort of very slender cap and a very slender thin stem. And there's another one, bigger one up here. They're really cool. They live in dunes and coastal grasslands, and I think it's really fun because you don't tend to think of fungus and mushrooms growing by the sea, but yet here we are, and life finds a way.
While walking around the beach, we spotted these spiral sand patterns, which are a telltale sign of lugworms, also known as sandworms. They live in U-shaped burrows in the sand, and they almost never move. They eat sand that falls through their feeding pit, take the nutrients, and then form these spiral patterns out the other end. That's right, these are actually lugworm poo. If you go out walking along our coasts, then you're bound to see at least a few seabirds. I know we did. There are so many that it's hard to list them all, from gannets to puffins to cormorants, but they all share a few common adaptations to suit their environment. Number 1. Webbed feet. Most seabirds have webbed feet to help them swim fast, and even act like little propellers when trying to take off. Number 2. Salt glands. Many seabirds have special salt glands in their nostrils that secrete excess salt. This means that they can drink seawater safely without drying out. Number 3. Wings. Some seabirds have really large wingspans that allow them to glide long distances over the ocean without flapping their wings. This allows them to conserve energy over such long distances. Others have short, sturdy wings that help them maneuver while diving underwater. This is especially useful for penguins, who can't fly at all, but are really well adapted to swimming underwater. Number 4. Feathers. Seabird feathers are extra waterproof in comparison to inland birds. This not only keeps them dry, but also provides extra insulation from the cold and helps them float on top of the water. Number 5. Beaks. Lots of seabirds have long, straight and sharp beaks that improve aerodynamics for diving into the water to catch prey. Others have larger, rigid bills for catching as much fish as possible. Now that orchid seems unlikely to cause any real issues, but invasive species can be a major problem. Some of you may have already heard, but the grey squirrels we see every day were actually brought over from America just over 100 years ago. In that time, they nearly wiped out our native red squirrel. The Chinese mitten crab, so called because it looks like it's wearing mittens, has invaded our estuaries and rivers. Here they compete with our native crabs, but they also do something very damaging to our waterways. They're burrowing crabs who dig themselves into our riverbanks and weaken them. This makes the banks more prone to bursting, and the surrounding areas at greater risk of flooding. I hope you've come to find out a little more about our cracking coasts. To learn more about coastal wildlife, keep an eye out for our rock pool and dunes videos too. Goodbye.